It's not just talk,
It's real people
real stories.
and real success. Drive home with your host, Laura Parrish, live from Real Success Radio.
Good afternoon. Hey, it's not just talk, it's real people, real stories, and real success. Thanks for spending your afternoon with me. I'm Laura. And here on Real Success Radio, it's always our goal to inform you, inspire you, and motivate you to discover your own personal and professional success. Each week we're presented by Community Southern Bank. You can find them in Lakeland, Bartow, and Winter Haven. If you haven't been to their website lately, jump on there. It's communitysouthernbank.com, brand new website, which introduces their most amazing feature yet, mobile banking. Anything and everything that you could possibly do trying to walk into a bank, you can now do simply by downloading the Community Southern Bank app, and the convenience and ease right there from your mobile device. It just doesn't get any easier than that. It's Community Southern Bank. You can find them again in Lakeland, Bartow, and Winter Haven if you just feel like you need to walk in. And they're federally insured by the FDIC. We have a show for you today. There is so much going on in the government, ups and downs and, just silly little things. And some aren't so silly. Some are very serious, as a matter of fact, and they really do have a lot of us up in the air. So what we want to do is we're going to kind of stay on a government topic, but we're going to give you some behind the scenes of the American justice system. So I'd like to introduce you to juror number 794167, and that would be me. I was that juror. I have in studio today members of the jury panel that served with me. So we're going to talk about, opening that mailbox and finding that jury summons. It's the reminder of your American right, your legal obligation, and that you are going to give an entire day for $15. And that's, of course, unless your employer chooses to pay you those benefits. But many people are always trying to get out of jury duty. They postpone their scheduled time. They create reasons why they can't serve. And we're going to share with you some of the things that happened in that courtroom. People trying to get out of jury duty. And oh my, I just got to tell you, it's ridiculous. So you think you have a good reason, you don't. They will call you out. But you know what? And then here's the biggest thing. We get upset because we feel like it's an intrusion of our personal time. But hello, this is America. This is our privilege. This is our right to a jury trial who can defend our privilege for rights of land, freedom, and even our life. So I'd like to introduce you to Hannah. Hannah was a member of the jury that was chosen. Welcome to Real Success, Hannah.
Thanks. I don't remember my jury number.
Well, typically I wouldn't remember something like that either. In fact, I had a hard time just remembering that while we were there. But I hang on to silly little things like that. And I just thought it was cool. But, so tell me, we all started the same way, Hannah. We went to our mailbox, and there it is.
I called my mom, and she said, don't get picked, because she just had served in Pennsylvania 2 weeks before. Hers was a week-long trial.
Oh, wow.
And nobody could come up with they could not agree. But I had to postpone mine, actually, because I had finals at school. And they told me to pick another Monday, and I picked it, and then they still scheduled me a different Monday, which was fine. I didn't have school anymore, and I'm really glad it worked out that way. But, yeah, I had to postpone it, which was, I like that option at least. You can do that.
There were a lot of options.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had medical issues, if you had, fill in the blank, there were a lot of areas that they gave us to opt out or to reschedule. But the one thing that we didn't have a choice to do was to not serve.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess I had always known that was a law, but I didn't know, because there were a lot of people that didn't show up. They're calling out those juror numbers and people just didn't show up. There is a fine, a fee, and even jail time.
Yeah, I think they put warrants out, don't they?
For not
showing up.
See, I guess I just didn't realize how serious it was. But that was exactly the same advice I had. And I did everything. This is what is so pathetic, because by the time we're done with our show today, we're actually going to talk about the benefits and the need and the importance of serving. But I got the same advice. Be the last one who shows up, because usually the room fills and they're like, you can go ahead and leave.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I walked in, and I was the second to last, they let the first 50 people go that had got there on time. And I was like, seriously? So I tried to find all those ways to get out of it too.
Yeah.
So, but my mind was changed completely. Most Americans who have to go in for jury duty, they really do find that as an inconvenience. Were there any drawbacks that you experienced personally?
No, because once I went back to work and told them I had to skip, they said, "Oh, we pay you for it." I was like, "Oh, perfect."
That's
I had to
excellent.
go in on my day off to catch up with my work, though. But that was about it. And it was a far drive, like an hour drive.
Yeah, that's right. You did drive an hour, but you were still like on the very far outskirts of Polk County.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was now not a lot of employers pay jury duty benefits. Some would just say, "Oh well." So that's when your employer doesn't pay, you get that $15 check.
Yeah, and you're losing probably a lot of money for that day.
Absolutely. So that is, I have to see that as an inconvenience. Although I didn't hear anyone who was in our group say that their employer wasn't willing to pay for their time.
Yeah, no, I don't remember anybody saying that.
Yeah, those are excellent, excellent companies that they choose to work for. So drawbacks. There were some things that we heard when they were asking. Once you're in that pool of hundreds and hundreds of people, and I'd never, I'd done that before, but I'd never got past that huge room.
Oh, that was my first time there.
This was your first time ever
first
being
time.
there? First time there, and you get picked right away.
Yep.
And you ended up having to render a decision on a case that you had to listen from start to finish.
Yep.
Well, that normally doesn't happen.
No.
That's pretty cool. For the second quarter of Real Success, I'm Laura, and thanks for driving home with me today. We're presented each week by Community Southern Bank. Taking us into our second quarter, we are sponsored by Headley Insurance. All of the insurance needs that we get stuck with in life, and seriously, we need all of that stuff. You need life and house and car and boat and motorcycle and fill in the blank. How in the world do you decide exactly what insurance you need, how much insurance you need? You know what? I just call the Headley team. You can find them on South Florida Avenue. You can also find them in Lake Wales. They take care of my family's needs, my personal needs, my parents' needs. That's Headley Insurance. You can find them at headleyinsurance.net. Let them handle all of that. And by the way, this is something really cool you need to know. When my mom took her insurance needs over to Headley Insurance, they saved her $1,000 a year. $1,000 a year. Keep your money. Call Headley Insurance or visit them, headleyinsurance.net. So what are we doing today on Real Success Radio? We are talking about the jury system. In America, it's the only place that we have the opportunity to have a jury determine whether it be our land rights, our freedom, and even our life. So do we understand the importance of a jury trial? You're saying, I'm going to trust people in my area, my community. I'm going to trust these people to have enough sense to determine the outcome of my fate. So, wow, that in itself just stuns me. I'm joined today with Hannah. Hannah was actually on the same jury panel that I was. There were 5 other ladies, and we're all, I think the only thing diverse, Hannah, about our group is our location, because we're all scattered all over the place.
Yeah, I think that was the only thing.
But yeah, we had a panel of 7 females.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get into, how they choose the jury group here in a hot second. But, what are your thoughts on that, Hannah, that you would allow a panel of individuals chosen by whomever to trust your fate?
I feel like I'd be a little nervous because, like you said, you don't know who's going to get picked. You don't know if they're going to be older, if they're going to be younger, if they're going to be mixed, if they're going to disagree, if they're going to even care about being there, if they want to be somewhere else, if they're not paying attention, anything like that. You have no idea what's going to go on.
So we went through the selection. We had to hear from both attorneys, the prosecuting and the defending attorneys. And they questioned us. They read, it was like reading our personal diary. They asked us a lot of personal questions when we went in. And then even the judge would speak up and ask us some questions. So they're trying to determine out of maybe 30 people, how many of, out of which 7 out of that 30 they were going to choose. And I found that a little odd because they addressed us by our names.
Yeah.
which was really weird.
Yeah, even though we had our juror numbers, so
Mhm.
I don't know what that was for. And they said that names outright to everybody. So, I mean, with all social media, any website, they can find anybody.
Which freaked me out a little bit
Yeah.
because, I mean, you think about that. We're in our holding tank. I don't know the legal name for that room, but we were in our holding tank and we're there with hundreds of people. And we have to immediately memorize our juror numbers, and they're calling us out just by the numbers. And that's a little overwhelming, but none of that should have really been private. It was the minute we got into the courtroom and we're looking at the defendant, which we served on a criminal case. Well, when you say criminal case, that's a little bit freaky,
Yeah.
right there in itself. So we're on a criminal, we're listening to a criminal case, but we are addressed by our full legal name. So some of the odd things that happen in jury selection, I just felt like maybe that was a little bit flip-flopped. You know, you can call me by my legal name in a room full of just my peers, but when you put me in front of the person that maybe we don't determine their fate the way that they want, all they have to do is go to property appraiser site and find out where we live.
Yeah, or if their family's sitting there on the benches watching the whole trial and they hear our names, they could write it down, anything like that.
Exactly. So that was one of the things. So there you go. That's Laura and Hannah's 2 cents. If you're going to put us on a jury and give us a juror number, address us by our number, because we don't want people to find us. And we're going to get to a little bit of the case, but we're not going to talk a lot about it. We're not going to get into too much detail, but we'll take you there. Let's talk about, Hannah, the moral integrity of America today. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I feel like certainly there is a huge disconnect between values and then just low morality today, bad ethics. And we're looking at these people to make a fair decision with our fate. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, these people can be coming there and they don't want to be there. They have to, otherwise they're going to get fined, have warrants out for them. It's not like they said, oh, I volunteer for jury duty, I'm going to come and actually pay attention the whole time. And if they don't want to be there, you can't really trust them to make a fair decision. They'll just go along with what everybody else says, so no one disagrees.
What I also found was character issues. I saw a lot of people there who just didn't feel that it was important. They
No.
didn't want to be there. But-
Jeans, flip-flops,
I know.
T-shirts.
and it clearly said, well, I can't say anything. I did wear jeans. And
Yeah,
I
you did.
almost-
And I yelled at you.
Oh my gosh. I almost had, and I'm reading. I didn't realize there was a back page to my jury summons. So I'm flying down 540, heading to Bartow, and I flip it over because I'm like, oh yeah, there's a map, because I had to find the
Yeah.
little jury parking, and there it says no jeans. I'm like, mortified. So then I'm thinking, surely now they won't pick me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't care I was in jeans. But what about in the holding tank where they said, has anyone in here been arrested or a convicted felon?
And they would say, they would raise their hands and stand up, and they would go right to their faces and say, oh, you're a convicted felon? And they said, yes. And then, I don't know, did they sit back down?
Yeah,
or
they
take
sat
them
back
out?
down.
And that's fine if they could be, but you're saying in front of all these people that there's a convicted felon right there. We don't know what they did. And I felt like you could just look at their name, see, their charts, they're writing their names down. Yeah, there's a lot of things that weren't private.
Wouldn't you think that there would be something there that says, if you are a convicted felon or you are currently being held up on charges, to call someone, don't even show up. Why would you even, why would you?
Call before, or take your papers up to the front
Mhm.
desk and, have them deal with it. Not in the room of hundreds of people.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was your favorite part about being a juror?
Just the people that I met.
Wasn't that crazy? That, I would have never guessed in a million years how much fun that
No,
was.
I feel like no other jury had so much fun. Even they said they could hear us laughing. Even the bailiff started having fun with us. Yeah, I mean, we took the serious part seriously, but we just all got along, and we just had so much fun.
It was really neat watching from, when we were in our little private room, we could relax and we could be ourselves. But what I saw, because I was the last person in line every time we lined up, which very quickly I figured out, I bet you I'm the alternate. I had a feeling just where my location in the line was and where I was sitting, I just felt like the odd man out. So But I would watch everyone as you guys would come out of the room and everybody's laughing and joking, like, shh, be quiet, be quiet. When you walk through the door from the hallway into the courtroom, everyone changed.
Yeah.
I saw the most serious women who took this responsibility on, and everyone had the same thought process. We are going to render a true and fair decision.
Yeah. And I like that too, because we could go and have fun, and it wasn't like sitting there all serious, because I couldn't imagine being on a jury where everyone's just sitting there not talking the whole day. We were there for 6 hours?
Yeah.
The whole day, just sit there, and then everyone goes separate for lunch, and no, we all got along. It was great.
And I've never heard jury stories like that. Everyone's always hated the people that they got with.
Yeah, or they're bored all day, and yeah. No.
I was almost wishing, man, I wish this just wasn't a one-day trial.
Yeah.
Send us to federal court where it takes weeks and put us up in a hotel room. How awesome that would have been.
So much fun.
Well, we had a good time. We really wish the other 5 ladies could join us today. And they tried. And I know you're listening to the show, and I just want to let you know that you are going to be fined. There will be a warrant out for your arrest for not showing up to this radio show today. You took your jury summons seriously. Shame on you. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to kind of keep you going on. We're going to talk about our right and our legal obligation. So I want to make sure you stay tuned. So going out, Hannah, before we take off, I just want you to stay close because we have more coming up with the show. I want to talk about why do we dread our jury summons and our legal obligation, talking about the seriousness of being chosen to be on a jury, that just how the responsibility of making a decision for someone else's life. So taking us out is Triple R Sales and Service. If you need the best trailer in South Lakeland, well, you're going to find it at Triple R Sales and Service. They also have mowers, blowers, edgers, and weed eaters. TripleRSalesandService.com. We'll be right back with more Real Success. Welcome back to the third quarter of Real Success Radio. I'm Laura, and thanks for spending your afternoon with me, presented each week by Community Southern Bank. Taking us into our third quarter is Anytime Fitness South Lakeland. Hey, that's where me and our Real Success team go. They keep us in tip-top shape. They're open 24 hours because none of us have the same schedule. Some of us up are at 5 a.m., some are up at while we're going to bed, they're just getting up. So 24 hours, completely safe and secure. Certainly a place that I do not have a problem letting my daughter go work out in the gym at 2 a.m. That's Anytime Fitness South Lakeland. And guess what? I have something special for you. You go in there and you tell Bill and Jenny from Anytime Fitness South Lakeland that Laura from Real Success Radio sent you. They're going to let you train for 1 month completely free. That's their gift to you. Headed into our third quarter, we're talking about something that, on a serious side, is the privilege and opportunity of Americans having a jury trial. A jury trial allows a group of diverse individuals to come together, yet still relatively community-oriented. At least in Polk County, we're talking about a criminal case that I just happened to be on the jury panel, enjoyed it immensely. My friend Hannah, who is in studio with me today, she was a juror, and there are 5 others out there who were on our panel that appeared in court on time, did their American duty, served as a juror, but could not make it to this radio station today. And for the love of me, I want you to know that each one of you are getting your notice in the mail from me and Hannah. That's what we want to say. But what an amazing opportunity, Hannah. We had some really interesting, professional, fun, lively women that we had the opportunity to meet in our jury panel. And we made a promise, which was really funny because this never happens. You serve on your jury and you get out of there.
Yeah.
Before we left, we all shared cell phone numbers and emails.
And we had the bailiff go make copies of the papers of all of ours. Emails, phone numbers, names, everything.
So we have, and I didn't know that. I didn't know, because remember, I left. I was the alternate.
Yeah.
So
I
went
and made us copies.
That is too cool. Okay, so let's talk about, we'll go ahead and give a little secret that things are things that you normally don't ever see. So we're talking about jury duty. We've made it out of the big cesspool of hundreds of people and a bunch of numbers. We're now pulled into a smaller area, probably 30 of us, and now we're actually meeting the judge. We're meeting the defense attorney and the prosecutor, and we're going through our selection. So you want to know a secret? I know you do. That's the fun part. What goes on behind the scenes? And let's talk about the bailiff for a minute, because one of our friends just texted us and said, "Don't forget about the bailiff." How fun was that bailiff?
He was amazing. Remember, we were all saying, we're so hungry, how long are we going to be here? Goes and grabs us granola bars, and then he comes back, and he goes, "Ladies, anyone call an officer?" I think he, like, fed off that we were all having so much fun with it. He probably has days, like, go by with juries, nobody talks to him. So
I can imagine.
he just leads them from the room back to the court, and he had fun with us, too. He was great.
Well, what was really cool is we had an amazing time. None of us really thought, I know, going in, certainly I didn't, and Hannah, in the first quarter, you were like, I tried to get out of it.
Yeah.
I did too. I tried to get out of it too. So none of us had any idea what we were in for. But without mentioning anything about the case, let me just ask you, did you really think that needed a jury trial?
No. I didn't.
Yeah.
Did you?
No. I didn't.
No. I felt like it was kind of black and white.
Yeah. I did too.
Yeah.
However, well, we can kind of talk about the circumstances. We can't talk about the people.
Yeah.
But what we were sitting on was a defendant against the state of Florida. The state of Florida had revoked or suspended his driver's license, and due to an emergency, medical situation, he had felt that he had to drive, which broke the law, and we had to determine whether the state of Florida was right or the defendant was right by making a decision which he felt was for medical reasons. I was surprised that it went to a trial.
Yeah.
But what is really cool is that is our American right, and that is our privilege. And we are the only country that has the privilege and luxury of a trial by jury, allowing our peers to determine our fate.
Yeah, because even if someone else doesn't think that your problem is even something that needs to take in court, if you want to take it to court, you can, and then you have people that you don't know listening to your story, and they're going to decide that for you, not just the state and the judge.
Right. And I certainly did in this case see that it was black and white. It was black and white to a point. I mean,
if you're going off your feelings, there was a lot to take into. But when we had to prove all the 5 different points of why, each way, guilty or not guilty, you had to prove these things, then it was kind of black and white.
Oh my gosh. So we were going to save this for the last quarter, and I think that we still will. But if you remember, Hannah, when we had listened to everything that had taken place, we were now at the opportunity where we were going to be dismissed back to our jury room to make that final decision. And I kind of had that feeling because I was the last person in line every time we went from our jury room back into the courtroom. And the 6 of you, sat in a row, and then I was the end, person. I kind of had a feeling I was going to be an alternate. So what happened was the judge says, "Hey, Laura, thanks for being here. We're going to let you off the hook. You're the alternate, and you get to leave. You can stay to hear what the outcome is, but you have to separate yourself now from the jury. Those 6 ladies are now going to make the decision." And I'm going to tell you something. I'm a very decisive person. I usually see things black and white. And all of a sudden, Hannah, I felt, even before he let me off the hook, I felt the enormity of the responsibility of the words that are about to come out of my mouth are going to affect someone's life.
Yeah. I think it makes it tougher because you don't know what their sentence is. If their sentence is just a fine, you might be like, oh, well, no big deal. I don't feel as bad if I say, he's guilty. Or if a sentence is 30 years in prison, then you're like, oh, now I'm ruining his life. So, yeah, they don't, well, I guess that's a good thing that they don't tell you what that is.
I bet there's a reason for that, too. And I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
All I knew is they were going to be in trouble. One way or another, the state was going to be mad, or the defendant was going to be relieved, or he was about to spend a lot of money. As I knew the consequences for that. I didn't even know what the consequences for driving on a suspended or revoked license.
I don't know either.
But I'm sure, it's fine. It's, welcome to America. We're going to make you write us another check. That's where, the fines and the taxes and so forth comes in. But I didn't know, but I know that sitting there, I was almost sick to my stomach about the decision that I had to come to. And you know what popped into my head was, if I have to sit here and I have to render a decision that's about to change someone else's life, why don't we take on that responsibility before we have our kids? If I can't make a decision about an elderly couple
Who you don't even know.
right, yet I choose to have children and I'm making decisions over this person's life, at least for the first 18 years. And then when I completely make a debacle out of that, I have to take care of them for the rest of their life because I didn't do it right the first time. But, you know, there are moments when you realize how important the words that you say are, the decisions that you make. You have to examine your own personal level of integrity.
Yeah.
And I just don't know that I could trust a jury of just people out there in our county to make a decision that would affect my life in one way or another.
Yeah, I agree, because they can just, like I said, just everyone says, oh, they're not guilty. And you're like, well, I kind of think they are. I'm like, oh, go ahead. So then you get out of it. You're done. The day's
Right.
over. You go back to your normal activities. So, yeah, it just, and it's sad because I feel like if they ask for volunteer jurors, there's not going to be many people.
Yeah. And you know what? Case in point, when we went to our mailbox, both you and I decided that we were going to try to get out of that one way or another. Will your attitude be different if you get a jury summons again?
Yeah, I don't think I would care. Like, I hated sitting there that whole first day, nothing to do. I was happy that you had your phones there. I didn't know that they would do that. But I enjoyed it. I feel like you need that. You have to have that. So,
Yeah.
and I try to pay attention, take all my notes. So,
Yeah. I would do it again too. But I would do it with a much better attitude.
yeah,
I would be honored, I think. I think it would change. Instead of it being an inconvenience, I would feel like I'm doing some good
Yeah.
in a situation. And yes, next time I go, you can also take your laptop. I didn't
Oh,
know
really?
that. Yeah, we could have sat there and we
I
could
need my
have read it.
Kindle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can, absolutely. I didn't know you could take things like that with
No,
you.
I
So,
didn't either.
if you have a jury summons right now, when you go, you are allowed to take an electronic device. And they have cords, power cords. You can charge your stuff. So be prepared. When you go there, you can actually take some stuff with you, which is really cool. Hey, to listen to the show in its entirety, if you've missed any of it, WLKF.com, click on Real Success Radio. You'll see a picture of me there. And you can listen to the show in its full. When we come back, it's the Successful Minute. Taking us out is Pilkin Associates. For trusted legal counsel, PilkinAssociates.com. We'll be right back with more Real Success. Welcome back to the fourth quarter of Real Success Radio. I'm Laura. We're presented each week by Community Southern Bank. Taking us into our fourth quarter, that's Stewart Auto Repair, located on 42nd Street Southwest in Winter Haven. When you have that fender bender, make sure the tow truck takes your vehicle to Stewart Auto Repair. And I'm telling you, every time I wreck my vehicle, which is often, I have it towed to Stewart Auto Repair, and I'll tell you why. They will make sure your vehicle is put back together the way it's supposed to be. They work for you, not the insurance company. They don't cut corners. They make sure you and your family are back on the road driving safely. That's Stewart Auto Repair in Winter Haven, StewartAutoRepair.com. Hannah, it is time for our Successful Minute, and this is where we, in our show, talk about the most impactful moments, and we're going to really leave a cliffhanger, because I have a cliffhanger in my life right now. Before we head in that realm, let's just really quickly wrap this up. The jury process, the whole process of the American people's right to have a jury trial. Do you feel that that process is still an effective process?
I do, but I feel like people cared a lot more in the past than now, because it's like they're forced to do it now. But I do feel like having a jury there gives you a more fair outcome than if it was just a judge in the state and everything like that, like, and the lawyers.
I agree. There's a statement that when you start to take away the rights and the privileges of the people, then the government becomes the sovereign power, and that is a socialist communistic society.
Yeah, we wouldn't be America if we didn't have that.
Right.
It would be, we wouldn't have the same government.
Yes, give us our jury and our guns. That is exactly where we're headed. Now, obviously, take our taxes. They're taking plenty of those. So there are some good things that when we're considering the foundation and fundamental processes of the way that America was implemented, there are some things that just should never be changed. And our right to a jury trial, I agree with you, Hannah, is one of those key factors. I do think depending upon if I'm ever in trouble, depending upon what I've done, you know, I think I would rather have a middle-aged to a younger group of people than, you know, seasoned adults, because obviously you see those generational changes. The older group, you know, the 60, 70, and 80-year-olds, they don't let people off the
No,
hook.
and they think, probably, I'm just saying this, that the younger people are more irresponsible. So they're probably going to give you did it, you're done.
Yeah, hold them accountable.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, if we had a little bit more of that in life, though, maybe we wouldn't be so strayed from our views and understanding right from wrong and being a law-abiding citizen
Yeah.
versus trying to get something for nothing or you know, hurting other people. So, yeah, you know, there's good and bad, and I have to agree with you that a jury trial probably is the way to go. Although I'm going to be really, really careful that I don't ever need one of those.
Yeah, me too.
Because that was a scary moment. McEnany Roofing is the sponsor of our Successful Minute. Absolutely honesty, integrity, doing what you say you're going to do and doing it right the first time. That's McEnany Roofing, Polk County's choice, but the state of Florida's best commercial roofer you'll find, McEnanyRoofing.com. All right, Hannah, we are moving into our Successful Minute, and here's the cliffhanger. So I was the alternate, and I'm stuck on the end, which is good. My stomach is turning. I'm like, man, I got to go make this decision, and I literally could see it both ways, and I just did not have a decisive answer. So when the judge let me off the hook, no, I didn't wait around. I didn't wait to see what was going to happen. I hot-tailed it out of there. And even that feeling of responsibility lingered through the night into my next day. And although all of us exchanged phone numbers, I never asked any of you what you decided.
Yeah, and I thought you did.
I never did. So all of us that are listening to Real Success today, myself included, are going to hear firsthand, what did you guys do at the end? How did you come up with the decision, and what was that decision?
Coming up with it, I don't think it was that hard because they gave us the 5 rules that he needed to have followed in order to be innocent, and he couldn't match up with those. So we had all of our notes, and I had question marks everywhere because stories kept changing. And then we would go to each other and I say, did you hear them say this? And then change it to this. And we were saying, oh, I never even paid attention to that. And we came up with a guilty verdict.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I was so stuck on, you know, if you're giving CPR, there's a Good Samaritan rule that comes into place. If you break someone's rib while you're trying to save their life, then you can't be held responsible. And I'm thinking, well, you know, this guy got into the car and, you know, his wife, I gotta tell you, how did she make it from the back of the courtroom into the jury box? She shouldn't be driving anyway.
Yeah.
Yet she was the one who was supposed to be driving because his license was revoked. But
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know.
so anyway, guilty was it?
Yes,
Huh?
it was. We just couldn't, and that's when at the end, our foreman, she said,
Oh, who was the foreman? I never even got
Abrakius.
Of course, yes.
She says, everyone feel comfortable with this, and I said, not really, but I have to be because I can't prove it. I cannot prove it with, they say, beyond a reasonable doubt any other way.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I felt bad. I couldn't look in his eyes when the judge said it, or yeah. But
Were you the only one that felt that way, or was everybody else?
no, everybody had. We
There
all
was a
felt
little
that,
bit
and
of-
we said, as bad as it sounds, it would be so much different if it was a different person who was a younger person,
Yeah.
had a bunch of things on their record, like didn't care. We'd be like, yeah, it would be much different on.
Yeah,
What it is.
I could see. Well, and you know what? That's maybe because I didn't see any diversity at all in our group.
No.
7 women up there, and all of us were relatively the same age. Very quickly, I could see that all of us were very educated once we got into the room. We love life, but we also know right from wrong. We know when to step up and make a decision. We're very decisive women, so I felt confident in that. But I felt like they chose all 7 women because this was an elderly couple that was being accused of this crime,
Yeah.
and it was criminal.
Yeah.
What? I was like, oh my gosh, he just did a boo-boo.
I know.
I'm
I
glad
felt-
I got out of that. Oh, that
It was tough.
something.
It was tough. I felt bad home. Yeah, I felt bad when I got home too. It just stuck with me.
Wow. All right, well, that's our take. The next time you walk to your mailbox and you see a notice in there that says, you must arrive promptly at 8:05 and you will now serve your country. It is your jury summons. I can tell you, it doesn't have to be the moment where you do everything you can possibly do to get out of it. We're in America. Enjoy that. Be decisive, be fair, be just, because the person who is chosen to have their fate determined by a jury is choosing you. So I would challenge you right now, look at yourself within. Are you a man or a woman of integrity? Maybe there's some things that you need to change. Could you trust your neighbor to determine your fate? I'm sure there's room for all of us to improve a tish. Certainly on my end. To all of the jurors who could not be here today, what a pleasure it was to meet you and spend 2 amazing days with you, getting to know you. We've made some really good friends. And Hannah, thank you so much for joining today and sharing
Thanks
your
for
thoughts.
having me.
What a great time. Being a juror, it's fun. Hey, there are also some people that I need to shout out some love to. That's Community Southern Bank, Headley Insurance, Anytime Fitness, South Lakeland, Stewart Auto Repair, B&L Tire, Triple R Sales and Service, Pilkin Associates, and McEnany Roofing. 52 weeks out of the year, you keep Real Success Radio on. Thanks. Hey, until next week, keep it real.